The marriage is over. The faction is dead. And everything you thought you knew about loyalty in WWE just got torn apart in the most brutal way possible. What you're about to witness is not just a betrayal, it's the moment that shattered one of the most powerful alliances in modern wrestling history and left Seth Rollins broken, bloodied, and abandoned by the very people he trusted most. Right now, at this exact moment, you need to understand something. What happened wasn't just shocking, it was personal. It was vicious. And it changed everything. If you've ever believed in trust, in brotherhood, in standing by someone through thick and thin, what you're about to see will make you question all of it. Because when the Vision turned on Seth Rollins, they didn't just attack a man, they destroyed a legacy. Before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. I need you to be part of this SLAMZONE family. Because what we're building here isn't just another wrestling channel, it's a community of people who live and breathe this business, who understand that every match tells a story, and every betrayal cuts deeper than any finishing move. So if you feel that fire, if you feel that passion, hit that subscribe button right now. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the chaos, the drama, and the raw emotion that makes this sport unforgettable. Drop a comment below and tell me where you were when you saw this happen. Because trust me, you're going to remember this moment for a very long time. Now let me take you back to where it all started falling apart. Seth Rollins stood in that ring like a man who had finally found his purpose. After years of being the architect, the revolutionary, the visionary, he had built something different. Something that mattered. The Vision wasn't just another faction. It was supposed to be a family. Ilja Dragunov, the mad dragon who fights like every match is his last breath. Sheamus, the Celtic warrior who's spilled blood on every continent. Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight with hands that can break bones like they're breadsticks. These weren't just allies. These were brothers forged in combat, united under one banner, one vision, one purpose. And Seth believed in it. You could see it in his eyes every time he stood with them. You could hear it in his voice every time he talked about unity, about strength in numbers, about building something that would outlast all of them. He trusted them with everything. His reputation, his career, his family's safety. Because that's what leaders do, they put their faith in the people standing beside them. But here's what Seth didn't see coming. Here's what none of us saw coming until it was too late. The cracks were already forming. The whispers were already starting. And while Becky Lynch was away for just 1 week, one single week, the Vision made their decision. They looked at Seth Rollins, the man who had given them purpose, who had elevated them, who had fought beside them through war after war, and they decided he was expendable. They decided that brotherhood meant nothing. They decided that the vision they all shared was a lie. Let me paint you the picture of what happened in that ring. The arena is electric. The crowd is deafening. Seth is standing there, championship mindset locked in, ready for another battle, trusting the men at his back like he's done 100 times before. He's calling the plays. He's rallying the troops. He's doing what Seth Rollins does best, leading from the front with everything he's got. And then it happens. The first shot comes from behind. You can see the confusion flash across Seth's face for just a split second before the pain registers. It's Ilja. The man who preached about honor and fighting spirit just drove his forearm into the back of Seth's skull with no warning, no hesitation, no mercy. Seth staggers forward, trying to process what's happening, trying to understand why his brother just became his executioner. But there's no time to think. Sheamus is already moving. The brogue kick is loaded up, and that pale-skinned war machine launches himself across the ring with the force of a freight train. The sound of boot-meeting jaw echoes through the arena like a gunshot. Seth's head snaps back violently. His body crumples. The crowd is screaming. You can feel the shockwave of disbelief ripple through every single person watching. And Pete Dunne? That calculated, methodical destroyer doesn't even flinch. He drops down and starts working over Seth's hand with that sadistic precision he's famous for. Bending fingers, twisting joints, making sure that even if Seth survives this, even if he gets up, he'll remember the pain of this moment every time he tries to make a fist. This isn't just a beatdown. This is systematic destruction. This is three men who know exactly how to dismantle another human being because they've trained together, fought together, studied each other's every move and weakness. And now they're using all of that knowledge to tear apart the man who brought them together in the first place. The crowd is on its feet, but not in celebration, in horror. Grown men are shouting at the screen. Kids are crying. Signs are being thrown. Because everyone watching knows they're witnessing something that can't be undone. This isn't a worked angle that gets resolved next week. This is personal. This is real. This is the kind of betrayal that leaves scars that never fully heal. Seth tries to fight back. Of course he does. He's Seth freaking Rollins. He's been through hell before. He's overcome impossible odds. He's fought through injuries, through doubts, through every obstacle this business could throw at him. So even with blood streaming down his face, even with his hand mangled, even with three men beating him into the canvas, Seth Rollins tries to stand up. He makes it to one knee. The crowd roars, willing him to rise, begging him to find that reserve of strength that's made him a multiple-time world champion. You can see the fire still burning in his eyes. You can see him refusing to quit. And for just a moment, just one desperate, hopeful moment, it looks like he might fight his way out of this nightmare. Then Sheamus hits him again. Harder this time. The second brogue kick is delivered with even more venom than the first. Seth's body goes limp. He's not getting up from that. Nobody gets up from that. The referee is waving frantically for help. Medical staff is rushing the ring, and the Vision stands over Seth's broken body, staring down at him without a shred of remorse, without a trace of the brotherhood they once claimed to share. Ilja grabs a microphone. His accent cuts through the chaos like a blade. His words are cold, calculated, final. He talks about evolution, about survival of the fittest, about how Seth was holding them back, about how the Vision needed to evolve beyond the man who created it. Every sentence is a dagger. Every phrase is designed to hurt Seth not just physically but emotionally, psychologically, in ways that bruises can't show. Sheamus snatches the mic next. That gravel voice booms through the speakers as he talks about how he doesn't need Seth Rollins to be relevant, how he was a champion long before the Vision and he'll be a champion long after. The disrespect is palpable. The cruelty is intentional. This is about making sure Seth understands that this wasn't a rash decision, this was planned, premeditated, and deeply personal. Pete Dunne doesn't even need to speak. He just drops Seth's mangled hand onto the canvas and walks away, that cold expression never changing, making it clear that he views this as nothing more than business. And somehow that makes it worse. At least anger would show they cared. This is indifference. This is treating Seth Rollins like he's nothing more than an obstacle that needed to be removed. Now here's where it gets even more devastating. Because while all of this is happening, while Seth is being brutalized by the men he called brothers, Becky Lynch is somewhere else. She's away for 1 week. 1 week to handle personal business, to be there for their daughter, to take care of the family life that wrestlers sacrifice so much to maintain. And when she returns, when she walks into the arena expecting to see the Vision standing tall and united, what she finds instead is carnage. You can see it on her face the moment she realizes what happened. The shock, the anger, the betrayal, not just for her husband but for herself, because she trusted these men too. She stood beside them, she defended them, and they waited until she was gone to tear her family apart. The video footage of Becky's reaction has been replayed a million times, and every single time you can see the exact moment her heart breaks, the exact second when she realizes that the faction she helped build has become something poisonous, something that nearly destroyed the father of her child. "I'm gone for 1 week," she says, and those 6 words carry more weight than any scripted promo could ever deliver. Because they're real, they're raw. They're the words of someone who just realized that trust is a luxury you can't afford in this business. If you're still watching right now, if you're feeling what I'm feeling, then do me a favor, hit that like button. Let me know you're invested in this story. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know who needs to understand what just happened. Because we're building something special here at SLAMZONE, and I can't do it without you. This family, this community, this is where we break down the moments that matter most. So join us. Be part of something bigger. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's keep this conversation going in the comments below. Now, what happens next is where the story gets even more complicated, because Becky Lynch had a choice to make. Stay with the Vision and try to salvage what's left, or stand by her husband and burn the whole thing down. And if you know anything about Becky Lynch, if you know anything about the man, you already know what choice she made. She confronted them, face to face. No fear, no hesitation. She looked Ilja, Sheamus, and Pete Dunne in the eyes and told them exactly what they were: cowards who couldn't beat Seth Rollins on their best day, so they had to jump him 3-on-1 when nobody was watching. She called them out for waiting until she was gone because they knew she would never let it happen. And then she did something that takes more courage than any suplex or submission. She walked away from the Vision and chose her family. That moment right there? That's what separates wrestlers from superstars. That's what separates performers from legends. Because Becky Lynch could have played it safe. She could have stayed neutral, tried to keep the peace, protected her spot in the faction. But instead, she looked at the men who betrayed her husband and said, "Not with me. Never with me." And she left them standing there, stripped of their credibility, exposed as the snakes they really were. The fallout from this is still unfolding as we speak. Seth Rollins is out indefinitely with injuries that the Vision inflicted. Hand damage, concussion symptoms, the kind of wear and tear that takes months to heal, not weeks. And while he recovers, while he sits at home with his family and tries to make sense of how the brotherhood he built turned into the thing that nearly ended his career, you have to wonder what's going through his mind. Is he angry? Absolutely. Is he hurt? Without question. But more than that, Seth Rollins is calculating. He's planning. He's waiting for the moment when he can return and show the Vision exactly what happens when you stab the architect in the back. Because if there's one thing we know about Seth Rollins, it's that he never forgets. He never forgives. And he always gets even. Meanwhile, the Vision is trying to justify what they did. They're going on every show, every interview, every platform they can find and spinning this narrative that they were the ones being held back. That Seth's ego was too big. That his vision for the group was limiting their potential. That they had no choice but to take matters into their own hands. And you know what? Some people are buying it. Some people are actually believing that 3 grown men jumping one guy from behind was somehow justified, somehow necessary, somehow the only option they had. But you and I? We know better. We see through it. We understand that this wasn't about creative differences or conflicting visions. This was about jealousy. This was about ego. This was about 3 men who couldn't stand that Seth Rollins was the leader, was the architect, was the one everybody looked to when the chips were down. So instead of stepping up and earning their place, instead of becoming the leaders they claimed to be, they took the coward's way out and struck when he was vulnerable. And here's the thing that makes this whole situation even more tragic: it didn't have to end this way. The Vision had everything. They were dominant. They were feared. They were on the path to becoming one of the most legendary factions in WWE history. All they had to do was stay together, trust each other, and keep building. But greed and envy poisoned what could have been something special, something lasting, something that would be remembered for all the right reasons instead of all the wrong ones. The wrestling world is still reeling from this. Social media exploded, trending worldwide for days. Everyone from casual fans to industry veterans weighing in on what happened, what it means, where it goes from here. And the consensus is clear: this wasn't just another angle. This was a moment that shifted the entire landscape of WWE, that created new rivalries, new possibilities, new stories that will play out for years to come. Because now you've got Seth Rollins, damaged but not broken, plotting his revenge. You've got Becky Lynch, the man herself, standing by her family and ready to go to war. And you've got the Vision, three men who just made the biggest mistake of their careers by uniting the two most dangerous people in WWE against them. When Seth comes back, and make no mistake, he will come back, the reckoning will be biblical. This is the kind of storytelling that reminds us why we love professional wrestling. It's not just about the moves and the matches. It's about the emotion, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the redemption that's waiting on the other side of all this pain. This is why we stay up late watching pay-per-views. This is why we argue with our friends about who's right and who's wrong. This is why wrestling matters, because when it's done right, it makes you feel something real. So where do we go from here? That's the question everyone's asking. When Seth Rollins returns to that ring, fully healed and ready for war, what's his first move? Does he target Ilja, the man who threw the first punch? Does he go after Sheamus, who delivered those devastating brogue kicks? Or does he methodically break Pete Dunne's hands the same way Dunne tried to break his? Maybe he goes after all three at once. Maybe he builds his own army. Maybe he and Becky become the power couple that tears the Vision apart piece by piece until there's nothing left but regret and broken dreams. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: this story is far from over. This betrayal created wounds that will take more than apologies to heal. This requires blood. This requires justice. This requires Seth Rollins reminding the entire WWE universe why he's called the Architect, why he's called the Revolutionary, why he's one of the most dangerous men to ever step between those ropes. Before we close out, I need you to do one more thing for me. If this breakdown gave you chills, if it made you remember why you love this business, then hit that subscribe button one more time. Join the SLAMZONE family and let's keep analyzing these incredible moments together. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what you think happens when Seth returns, and share this with everyone who needs to understand the full story behind this betrayal. Because we're just getting started, and the best is yet to come. The Vision thought they were ending Seth Rollins. They thought they were writing the final chapter of his story. But what they actually did was create a monster. They created a man with nothing to lose and everything to avenge. They created a story that will be told for years, studied by future generations of wrestlers and fans alike as the betrayal that changed everything. This is SLAMZONE, where we don't just watch wrestling, we live it, we breathe it, we feel every shot and every heartbreak as if we were in that ring ourselves. And this moment, this brutal, shocking, devastating moment when the Vision turned on Seth Rollins, will go down as one of the most significant betrayals in WWE history. The marriage might be over. The faction might be dead. But the war? The war is just beginning.